to have the right sponsor. So I have searched around and I have chatted with a few people, and that's where I ended up with them in Toronto, and who is with Mike there. So I listened to them. It sounds like they got a great thing going, and I haven't got to get in it yet because too many emails, but we're getting there. Where are you from?
It's a learning curve for a little while, but you've got so much foundation, you probably won't have much trouble with it. It's just technology difference.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm in the Dallas area, not very far from Chris.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. You know, the funny thing is, all the years I was in RE/MAX, I thought that as agents, we should actually be tour guides too. So if I were going to come and visit Dallas, I just contact you and you're my tour guide, or you come to Toronto and I'd be your tour guide. It would actually add a whole different thing onto real estate.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Well, we're going to have a meeting down here in August with Tony Robbins, so you'll have to show up for that.
Well, I'm one of those guys that's fighting this needle stuff, and I haven't had it yet. Okay, so I don't know if they'll let me over the border.
Well, maybe.
I have to figure where they are by August. They never know. Today we're wearing masks, tomorrow we're not. So who knows what it's doing.
Well, Al, it's great to have you on board. Thank you for your sharing your wisdom there.
Absolutely. Well, hey, everyone, it's 9 o'clock. So we'll wait a few minutes to really get going. But hey, I want to welcome everybody to the Freedom Friday Mastermind. We're honored to have a really special guest today, Dave Conord, president of eXp Realty. I think he's going to blow you away with what he's got to share with us today and his story and everything. Before we get started, we'll wait a few minutes to let some people get on board and everything as the attendance count grows. But does anybody have any wins they'd like to share with us from the last week or so? Oh, Kristen, I see you raise your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really pleased to say that I've closed my first 2 escrows concurrently yesterday.
Oh, great. Congratulations. Yeah. Awesome. Are you new to eXp or new to real estate?
I'm new to real estate and new to eXp, new-ish. It's almost a year with eXp and a little over a year as a licensed agent.
Okay, well, welcome. The first one's the hardest, and after that, now you know you can do it. So should be a lot smoother from here on.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited, and a lot of people in this group helped me through it. So I'm grateful. Thank you all.
Okay, awesome. Anybody else have a win you'd like to share?
I have one. Chris,
okay, hey, Sheree.
I'm sorry, I don't think I can hear you guys that well. Hopefully you can hear me.
I hear you great.
Awesome, and good morning, Chris. I just wanted to introduce a young lady that I sponsored here to eXp, and she's actually on the call this morning. Her name is Jessica Stevenson.
Hi, everyone.
Morning, Jessica.
Happy to be
to know you over the past few days, and looking forward to working with you. So welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
Glad you could make the call today. It's a great way to get your start off with eXp.
Well, I have a win I want to share.
Okay, go ahead.
The young man's name is Tim Lantry. He's brand new realtor. Works full-time, takes care of his wife because of medical issues, raises kids, and is out showing properties. And he's only been doing this less than a month. It looks like he's writing some contracts this morning. So to me, that's a win to have someone so hardworking on the team.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
I can share a quick one. Monroe here in North. I think one of the cool things about the eXp opportunity is that it really is an amazing thing that we have to be able to share with people. And I've been in real estate about 10 years. I closed down my own brokerage to join eXp. I mean, it's one of those things where I think if we really understand what we have, then it makes it so easy to share from a standpoint of how it can change people's lives. So I had a great experience this last week. My brother-in-law was trying to decide what direction to go in his life. And I just shared with him what I'm doing. in case it was of interest to him, and he really caught the vision of it. He got to watch Mike Sherrard and Connor on their deep dives, and it's just awesome feeling to know that we have something to share with people that can absolutely transform their life. So starting to see that. I'm pretty new to EXP, but I'm excited to be here.
Welcome. Glad to have you. And I guess that must have been quite a leap coming from your own brokerage, huh?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm actually glad to have closed down my brokerage, and, I have far less E&O costs with EXP than I do being my own boss. So it's definitely a good cost benefit analysis for sure.
Okay, great. Well, welcome again. We're happy to have you here. Okay. Well, hey, I want to respect Dave's time. So Dave, are you on?
I'm here. Hey, Chris.
Okay, great. Hey, so I don't know if you heard, Pat had a issue with travel last night. So I'm going to be the host today and lead this interview. So, hey, thanks, first of all, for being with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. I'm glad to be with everybody here for Freedom Friday.
Yeah, for those of you, we have a lot of newer folks on the call. So y'all may not have had the pleasure of getting to know Dave yet, but Dave has been a wonderful driver of growth for EXP Realty. Amazing leader. He's got a very storied background in real estate before EXP as well. And just done a lot of great things in the industry, and especially for EXP. And this is actually your second time as our president. So it was a sad day when you left, but we're happy that you came back after a kind of long vacation.
Mental break.
Yes. So Dave, you want to introduce yourself to everybody a little bit about, tell them, a little bit brief bio of your background in real estate and how you ended up here?
Sure. Yeah. Happy to. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. And by the way, while we're sharing wins, I've got one.
Okay. Awesome. Go ahead.
We hit 80,000 agents worldwide yesterday.
Awesome.
80,000. So some of you have been around for a little while. And it's pretty amazing. I've only been here for 4 years. So for some people, that's a really long time with EXP, and for some, they've been around from the early days. But I came on, we were around 10,000 agents. So to go from 10,000 to 80,000 agents in 4 years, that's net gain, right? We know the industry. We know that there's a lot of movement. We know that, the new agents that come on, you got a higher dropout rate and all that good stuff. So in order to jump up 70,000 agents, you got to recruit about 100,000, right? And so, the number of agents that are joining this company, I've always said that agents vote with their feet. And that, it really is true. You're going to, as an independent contractor, you should always be going to the place that's the best partnership for your business that help you get where you're going. Our job is to make sure that that's always here. Right. So, but I laugh at a lot of the brand wars that are out there between agents, because I'm going, I love that our agents are passionate about our brand and about being in partnership with EXP. But, honestly, it's like there's all these different potential vehicles that you can get in. I guess it's maybe like the BMW club versus the Porsche club versus the whatever. Right. So, yeah, but,
well, different areas, you could be in multiple car clubs.
Exactly. I want one of each.
You only have to pick the best in real estate.
So, but anyway, it is cool, but it's creating that vehicle that's the right place for Lambo Club. There you go, Mike. Love it. So it's creating that vehicle that's good for agents, and they're seeing that, and it's pretty amazing to see that. So we're proud of it, and we're humbled by it, and it certainly is a lot of fun. I've been blessed to be in the real estate industry really for a long time, and some people got in young, and for a lot of those folks, their parents were realtors, right? It's like, oh, my mom was a realtor, they had a brokerage, whatever it was. I was an international business major, so I was doing international telecom, working with entrepreneurs and large corporations all over the world. Right out of college, I fell into a job that was way over my head, and was blessed to learn a lot from an early age. I failed forward quite a bit, and had some great opportunities, and really learned about business. And working with both was pretty interesting, because when you work with these big multinational corporations that needed telecommunications infrastructure, we also work with governments, right? So my company set up, at a bunch of engineers from Westinghouse, we set up the infrastructure for the country of Ghana, right? We did a lot for Venezuela back pre-Chavez. So we were working with these government agencies and how all of that works and what the interaction is and how, how to grease the skids and right, how to get things moving and, what works in those kinds of relationships. And then we would work with these corporations, right, that had all kinds of, all of their red tape and their processes and their layers and approvals and the finance side behind it. And the way that the way that you have to look and talk and that sort of thing in order to get that business and keep it. And then we work with these entrepreneurs, right, that are independent business owners that are grinding it out and trying to pay the bills and build businesses from scratch and that sort of thing, that have a totally different kind of communication style and a totally different kind of relationship. And so I was blessed to be able to have all of those different types of interactions right out of college and do that for a number of years. But one day I woke up and, so my job was to grow the company and to grow it internationally. And so we were, building these relationships in countries all over the world. And we were successful at it. And I watched the guys who owned the company make a lot of money. And they were driving up, pulling up in their fancy new cars and buying new houses. And I didn't, I was excited for them. And these were friends of mine. They earned it, right? I mean, it was their concept. It was their company. They earned every penny that they got, in my 20s, I got a $50,000 bonus, right? And so back then, that felt pretty good. Most of my friends weren't making $50K a year at that point. And, and I got it as my bonus. But still, I looked at the millions being made by the business owners and said, I need to be in a seat where I can do that.
It was a good early lesson in the value of being a business owner.
You got it.
Boy, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so I said, I need to go where the opportunity is, where I can do that. So of course I jumped into real estate because everybody makes a ton of money in real estate, right? So it's easy money in real estate. And I had worked my way through college building houses. And so I knew a lot about the housing industry. I knew a lot about construction and neighborhoods and all that kind of stuff. And so I got into that side of things, working more on the new construction side, on land development, and cut my teeth in real estate doing that sort of thing. And that worked out well. So I was about 25, I think. I did 120 units that my second year in real estate. At the price point back in those days, that was about 17 to 20 million. And so we started looking at saying, we need to have a brokerage. We're going to be doing some development work and that kind of stuff, that we should have a brokerage. Kicked around, was introduced to someone who had a totally new concept for the East Coast. I was in the Maryland area, and totally new concept, totally new company. Had never heard of it. Most people around had not heard of it. And back in those days, you flew down to Austin to meet this guy named Gary Keller. And so we flew down there and talked about this new business model, this new franchise system. And I thought, this is cool. It's not only is it the brokerage where we can do our real estate transactions, but it's a franchise. And I started to think about that as the business ownership and not the land ownership and the development and everything else, and said, hey, this is a whole different path that I hadn't even been thinking of. So we helped open up the Maryland, DC region for Keller Williams. I owned kellerwho.com for 5 years because nobody had any idea who that company was. There were 10,000. Funny, I came to EXP with 10,000 agents. I went to Keller Williams when there were 10,000 agents.
Did you ever get any business out of that website?
What's that?
Did you ever get any business out of that website?
Well, I opened up 11 offices with it. So
wow.
I got a few agents out of it. So I ended up being an owner and a partner in 11 franchises. And then we did pretty well. And I was asked to go up there to take over their second largest region that was not growing very well at that point. And so we took that. There are 30 regions in the company. They were the number 26 out of 30 at that time from a growth and profitability standpoint. So within 2 years, that region was number one in the company. And so we had some good success in that. There were 42 franchises in there, 7,000 agents. So we got a chance to see from that level too. Obviously, a lot of a lot of access to the P&Ls through all of the franchises, and then managing different franchises. And then we were hiring the leaders. We were hiring the operating partners. So we were hiring selling the franchises, working with the franchise owners. And so from operating our own brokerages, my own office, for a number of years, we started off, of course, with one, but at that level, what I got out of that is the day-to-day interaction with my family, right? My people, my agents, where we looked at, we went through 07, 08, 09, whatever. We went through all that stuff where, I had agents crying in my office, trying, losing their house and trying to figure out how to pay their bills and having to move from one place to another because they couldn't afford it. And their kids were going to have to change schools or, not sure how they're going to buy groceries. I know I did, and I know some of my partners did. I mean, we personally paid people's mortgages and rents and that kind of stuff for months. They're your family, but we also had all the highs, the success stories, the new agents that came in and blew it up, the agents that came in and really expanded their business and created new opportunity. And that's where you really learn the day-to-day of how agents think, right? What they go through, what it takes to be successful in this business. And we had we brought in, you guys may have heard of Pat Hyben, real estate rock stars. He had a podcast for a while and that kind of stuff. So he was a friend of mine. We helped bring him into EXP. Bob Lucido came into one of my offices as well, over in Ellicott City. So we work with some of the top agents, 200, 500, $700 million producing agents. So we had all ends of the spectrum, and got a chance to dig through their businesses with them. So it was just, to me, it's just been an incredible learning experience, right? It's all the way through. All the things that we do help us get better, doing other things. And I really think that, we don't always know our life plan, but God's got a plan for us, and taking us through all of these steps all the way through. I landed one day in front of Glenn Sanford, and, Glenn was talking about his model. And, when he and I first started talking, I remember it was prior to 5,000 agents in the company, I know for sure, because I was with Glenn in New York City. We were still kicking ideas around, and he showed me his phone and said, "Look, we just hit 6,000 agents." And I was like, "Man, this company's taken off." And then my buddy Gene Frederick showed me his phone and said, "Look, I just made 250,000 last month in revenue share." I was like, "All right,
that'll open your eyes, huh?"
Yeah, the signs are all pointing in one direction. But the opportunity here really is phenomenal. The model is phenomenal. And so it's, I really feel blessed to have the seat that I have right now. And I think that what helps, the team is, the team that we have from a leadership standpoint are people that have gone through different paths than I've gone through, but their own paths. And so you look around to the folks sitting in the different seats on the leadership team, and it's a pretty great team that I get to work with every day. And so everybody's pulling in it together. A lot of us were just in New York City last couple of days, got home last night for Inman, but we mostly went to be with each other. We mostly went to have meetings with each other and to talk through what we're doing and to make sure we're all still, driving this thing forward the best we can and supporting our agents. And it's the ideas that come out of that group are pretty awesome, because it's we've got some people attracted to this model because of what it does. So, that's been the path. Once we got here, it's been, and by the way, I just mentioned that, at one point, what's really important to me, what attracted me initially to that model, to have a brokerage and to use, instead of just opening our own, to use the franchise model. The way it was explained to me was much more like the Zig Ziglar mentality, right? In order to get what you want, you have to help enough other people get what they want. And that's always been my mindset. I like to help other people succeed. And for years, we got to do that. At one point, for me personally, I felt like that business model shifted and it became about a body count and then how to make dollars from the body count. That's just my personal experience. I learned a lot from that company, and I have a lot of love for that company, a lot of good friends there, and a lot of respect for what they do. But for me personally, from a business ownership standpoint, I could not get up every day and be partnered with a model where I felt like my job was to just use the spaghetti method and throw it against the wall, see if it sticks, and then find a way to monetize everybody in the in the office, throughout the different offices. So I woke up one day and said, I don't like it anymore. And so I resigned from my corporate position and started selling off my franchises. And I didn't do it to go anywhere else. I didn't do it because there was something else I wanted at EXP. I had not heard of it at that point. It was 2014. And was doing consulting and that kind of stuff. And that's how I ended up being introduced to Glenn. So it's through that path. So I didn't leave something for this, and I didn't have to come do this either. Yeah, and when I got in, it was early days. Like the stock wasn't, stock was a couple of bucks. It wasn't all that attractive. The revenue share was just starting to get going. So it was the model and the opportunity and the vision of Glenn and the leadership team that is what drew me in.
Yeah, and Dave, I understand that you actually came in just as an individual agent, which didn't last very long, right?
Yeah.
That was your original intent of joining EXP, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I didn't come for the job either, right? So I didn't. I'm a horrible employee. You can ask anybody. So,
That's why they keep asking you to come back. Huh?
Yeah, I don't follow directions really all that well. But so I did. It was the model that is here, and I saw the opportunity. And so I haven't sold a house since like 2002, except for my own properties, right? My own investment properties and personal properties. So I'm not active in sales from that standpoint. So for me, it was the opportunity to help other people build success. I've been blessed to help, to build my own brokerages, right? To build my own success through that and bringing people into my business model that I got paid when they sold houses. Well, in this model, we have everybody has the opportunity to do that. And I refer to us as basically, we're like hiring a management company. You can grow a virtual brokerage, but hire a management company to handle. I heard, I think it was Monroe talking about the risk and the E&O and all of that, right? From owning a brokerage. And I know I've seen a couple other faces on here that I know that have owned brokerages and operated brokerages. And, the lift of doing that, a lot of times, the necessary 80% takes you away from the 20%, the impactful 20%. And the stuff that we love, the stuff that we don't love ends up taking a lot of our time. And so, if you're a builder, then you love the relationships, you love building the business, you love the outcome that you can create, and doing the paperwork and handling the phone calls of someone who's upset, or having to sit in at a meeting or having to sit in on some kind of legal hearing or a mediation or anything else like that, or having to go to the different events may not be the thing you want to do, but it's also then coming up with all the training components and the E&O and that sort of thing, maintaining the building, et cetera. So if you've got a company that manages, that takes care of the agents, that provides the training, that provides the resources, that provides the technology, that stays up with that does the investment and all of those things and takes the responsibility for helping the agents be successful in a big way, then what you get to do is go build relationships, find people where this model could help them succeed and connect them with it, right? And then support them and cheer them on and that kind of stuff. So it's about those relationships and helping people be successful. And you get to focus just on that. Like I just get to go out and meet great people and connect them with an opportunity and then cheer them on and help them be successful. And that's all I have to do. And the company does the rest. And I get my piece of it. That's pretty awesome. So that's the model that I came for. And that's what I came to do. It's funny, when I joined, Glenn called my cell phone the next morning and said, because I guess we were still small enough that he was seeing the names come through. And he said, "Did you just join EXP?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, I don't have a job for you." And I said, "Good. I don't want one." And it was only about 2.5 months later, he called me and offered me this job. But I came to be an agent. I came to be a part of what the company's doing.
Awesome. So we appreciate you being in the job and coming back. So
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And, it's the step, it was good. I mean, we accomplished so much. And Glenn and I talked from the beginning when he asked me to come in, actually, because when he offered me the job first, I told him no. I told him no twice.
It's be a very good influencer to get you to come and then come back again.
Glenn is not where he is by accident. I can tell you that much. He is a phenomenal person, a really great guy, and he's incredibly smart. And he's amazing. He's amazing to be around. I have a tremendous respect for him and enjoy him immensely. So he's if you don't know him, he's the real deal. He's incredibly approachable and is a good person. In that conversation and coming in, he said, "Listen, come in and help. We need to do these things and we need to get to this spot as a company. Help us get there. And if it's, whenever it's, because I came for the rev share, I came for the little bit more of a, semi-retired lifestyle, I guess. And He said, look, come in and do this, help us get here. And then whenever you need to, you can step back, right? You can step out of the role and we'll bring someone else in and everything else. So, when we accomplished some pretty big numbers, right? We were up over 75,000 agents and the stock had gone up and had split and everything else. We put a lot of things in place. And then with Michael coming in and opening in all these countries, a great team around us. And so, for me, I've got one daughter who's a freshman in college. I've got one who's a junior in high school. And I really, I put my blood, sweat. I don't really know how to do things halfway. So, I kind of put my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and was kind of getting some feedback from home, my wife and family that, they'd like to see me a little bit more. And so that's when I had the conversation with Glenn and decided to step down and to just go back into building the rev share and go back into, being focused on the family. What's great in coming back is identifying that. I didn't see it, I knew that I was busy, right? But you don't see it. And this is probably something you guys can feel in your own business, right? When things get crazy, it's really important to be taking stock often of where you are, because, you're driving forward, you're pushing to do things. And sometimes we get caught up in the busyness of what we're doing that, you just need to always be taking stock to make sure that you're moving towards that goal. The thing, doing, I'm a high energy person, but I'm not a big rah-rah person. Right. And so for me, I want to, do the disc, right? I'm a 99D and a 99I. So, and they still haven't found any S and C yet. But I'm sure there's some in there somewhere. But so that drive forward, the drive to achieve and to want to go do things and have all kinds of energy about it and go run after it. And then you just do it, right? You grind it out and you're going after it. And sometimes we chase the wrong thing. We chase the component that we felt was driving us in the right direction. But it's, looking back and going, okay, what we're really building here is a life. Right. Every one of us, what we're really building is a life that we want to build, where we want to go, who we want to be, and making sure that what we're doing is constantly achieving that. And so sometimes the thing that's getting us there becomes the thing. And that's not the thing. It's never the thing. And it's always a vehicle. And so, I just needed the time to be able to take stock and to remember what's the direction. This is still a great vehicle for me in my life, this opportunity to do what I'm doing. But I need to restructure it a little bit. And so, with their support, you're going to see a few new roles being hired on my team, some extra support for what we're doing and for what you guys are doing. That's going to allow us to keep driving forward and keep grinding it out and having fun doing it, but to make sure that there's, the ability for some balance. And to be honest, it's because I've done a bunch of different things, I can help in a lot of categories, but it doesn't necessarily make me the best one in every one of those categories. So, right. I want to be leveraged with the best people in those areas. I can stay in my strength zone and we can bring in some other team members that are in their strength zone. Okay, great. Hey, now we're at 80,000 agents. What is your next major milestone that you're aiming for? So Glenn talked about it at IME. He talked about getting over 100,000 agents this year. And so I'm confident, extremely confident that we will pass 100,000 agents. I believe that we can pass 120,000 agents this year. Yeah, so 100 sounds like a layup, huh? Yeah. It's it is you always shoot for a bigger goal, right? You always go after something a little bit higher. But I look at it and say I believe that we have to mess up to not hit 100,000 agents, right? We don't know what's going to happen with the market and with some other stuff, but I think we're working hard and continuing to do what we're doing. We should hit 100,000 agents. So what we need to do is say, okay, great, that's good. Now, how do we plus it? What do we add to it? What can we do differently? What can we do better? And that goes both in growth as far as attraction. How do we continue to be the place that is getting everyone's attention, that they see as the best place for their business? But how do we do a better job with retention as well? From an industry standpoint, our retention is fantastic. But I would just say, when you do the hard work to get into business with good people, then, that's the first and foremost is just make sure they don't have to leave. there's going to be a certain amount of attrition that happens, people that get out of the business or whatever it is. But the good agents that leave because for some reason we couldn't give them what they needed, those are the areas that we're looking at as a team and saying, how do we do that? So that's a thing that you guys can do with each other. And the reason that these groups are so powerful, this is really what you're doing right here is the secret sauce to EXP. This additional level of support and communication and camaraderie. I mean, you guys are cheering each other on. You're teaching each other. I mean, and there's a lot that we can do from a macro standpoint as a company, but groups like this, and if you guys are not all in this group, then get all in. I mean, this is where you're going to be fed. This is where you're going to get the support that you need. You have so many incredible people in this group that, I mean, you have an nearly unlimited supply of answers to your questions and, new ways to do what you're trying to do and that kind of stuff. So go all in on this group and then contribute, right? Get from it what you can, and then turn around and recontribute to the others in the group.
Yeah, I think that, everybody talks about rev share and stock and all the other things that make EXP great on paper. But I think what a lot of people, before they come into EXP, they underestimate just what a sense of community we have. And, I often tell people, and it's the truth, that this is my second family.
Yeah.
And everything. And I've never experienced that anywhere else.
Yeah, that really is. Like I said, that's when people ask, why people are here. I mean, this is why people are here. I mean, all those other things are great, but you can make money just about anywhere, right? I mean, money's it's really not that hard to make, right? I mean, there's all kinds of ways to make money if you really want to go make money. I mean, the secret is, be consistent and work hard. So there you go, but so you can kind of do it just about anywhere, but you're going to do it faster and better and at a higher level when you're surrounded with the right people. And it's the ideas and the support and that kind of stuff that really drives it. So yeah, these groups are so important to be plugged into and engaged. And it's this group here, but also find the other ones inside of EXP. Find the groups, the workplace groups that are out there, people. And if there isn't one that in your area of interest, start one. So get out there and say, hey, this is the niche that I'm in, and this is who I work with, and this is whatever. Then great. I work with left-handed veterans that like to wear blue shoes. Great. That's your group. Go start it. Find the other people that want to work with that group, and you guys will share ideas and best practices and leads across the country and that kind of stuff, and it'll work. So you can really you can make your own on this platform.
Absolutely. Hey, Dave, one thing I'm kind of curious about your perspective on is, there are signs that the market is starting to change. Interest rates are up. Some of our competitors have issued some cautionary guidance going forward in the market. So I was curious, how does that play out into our own growth strategy, taking advantage of any possible inflection in the market? And also, do you have any advice for the agents here? How we might alter our own attraction strategy to take advantage of this, being a low overhead model that may appeal to some people in different market conditions.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That we should be at, that's one of our key benefits and is the agility and everything. And of course, one of our, initiatives. So
yeah,
how should we respond to that?
I have the way that I look at, market changes is, you have to embrace change. You should be enthusiastic about change, and that's not everyone's nature. And in this industry, that's especially true. A lot of people fear change. Real estate has a lot of SI behavioral styles right out there, IS, SI. So a lot of realtors in general, are a little bit fearful of change. And so, encourage people in your groups to change their mindset, because change is a good thing. Change brings opportunity. And those that can react quickly can take advantage of that opportunity better and faster than others and get out on the front end of it. For us, there's a couple of things, and the same thing that I would say to an agent looking at the market, because we do believe that we're going to see a softening of the market, it coming up like, the third and fourth quarter of this year, is you have to expand your group. You have to expand your contacts. You have to expand your database, right? So you have to be building that and to be in relationship and communication with more people. And it's the person who's out there doing that the most and communicating with the most people is the one who's going to create the most opportunity. So there will still be enough homes bought and sold that everyone can make the money that they want to make. You just have to go out. You just have to go out and get it, right? You might need to know more people. You might need to be talking to more people, and be out there more. And by the same token, for us, when the market contracts and has changes like that, people tend to take stock of the relationship that they have with their company to determine if it's the right fit. And there's a couple of things that happen. We've already seen it, especially with the stock market down. Some of the other companies that are reliant on their stock, their shareholders and the stock price and that sort of thing. One of the beauties of the way that we operate is, Glenn is still the primary shareholder, and his mindset has always been that he will never make decisions for the company based on what the shareholders need, right? And the agents are a lot of the shareholders, but when you listen to the second part of that is he makes his decisions for the company on what the agents need. Because he believes that if we do that, then we will continue to attract and retain good agents. The agents will be successful, and that will drive, the value of the company. And so the other companies that don't have that same mindset or don't have the blessing of having someone who's, interested in the realty company, driving what's happening from a decision standpoint, some of those stock-based companies, they're starting to contract already. They're starting to make a lot of changes based on the values being down, and they're cutting services. They're cutting money being put into new products and services for their agents and new innovations. They're cutting staff, which would cut services for their agents. So the agents are already seeing a contracted agent experience that's not as good. And if the market slows on top of the stock prices being down, that's only going to further push that down. For the other companies, whether it's a smaller independent brokerage to franchises and that sort of thing, when there's a slowing, it's the same result, right? You start to those companies, they may start to increase fees, decrease services, cut staff, the other things that they have to do. And if agents' income starts to go down, one of the first things that we tend to do in the industry is to look outside of ourselves, right? And so they tend to look around, and that's when they go, hey, I need a better split. I need to cut some of these fees. I need to do whatever. And that's a great opportunity for us because we have incredible compensation structure. We have multi-tiers to our compensation structure. There's lots of different ways that agents can create money here. We're very competitive from just the general splits and opportunity. We have so much that agents can use to increase their income from the training standpoint, et cetera. And from a profitability standpoint, because we don't have the bricks and mortar and all of that other overhead, we're able to drive profitability from our real estate company in a way that other companies don't. And so we remain really solid. We remain highly profitable. We remain able to make the investments to continue to grow. So when the market contracts, we lean in. I mean, when COVID hit, we didn't skip a beat in what we did, but we leaned in on doubling down on doing more for our agents and adding more. We hired more staff, right? And initially we said, okay, we got to structure this to be able to build. And then we started building. So when there's uncertainty and fear in the marketplace, there's a flight to safety. And we provide that platform and opportunity for agents to have a safe place to do business. And so, for me, I don't ever hope for a down market or up market or whatever, but for me, the change is an opportunity. And we work great in an up market, but we're one of the few models that also works really well in a down market. And so it's still an opportunity for agents to thrive at a really high level, regardless of where the market is. We make our own market, and that's a big opportunity. So with it, I would say, when that's happening, you really need to be talking to agents out there. Look for agents that are getting nervous, that are a little bit fearful of what's ahead and not quite sure what to do about it. This is a thing where when they go, I'm not really worried about stocks. I'm not really worried about revenue share or anything else. And you go, okay, well, that's the thing that also fights the cycle, right? The businesses are always doing this, and we lead generate and we get the business we need. And then once we get really busy, we stop lead generating, and then we close the deals. And then when the deals all close, we've got nothing, and we start all over again and lead generating. It's such a normal sales cycle and sales in general, and also true in real estate. The revenue share coming in and, during the down part of those cycles helps even out what people are doing. And it's the get into debt, get out of debt, get into debt, get out of debt thing, credit cards or whatever it is, that doesn't have to happen. And so there's with the market swings impacting that as well, it's a whole nother piece. So you said, well, hey, I'm really nervous about this. I'm nervous where the market is going. Well, what would having an extra $3,000, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month coming in from revenue share, what would that do for your peace of mind? As you're moving into changes in the marketplace. And they say whether the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago, and the second best time is today. So people, they're not too late. There's an opportunity to come in and do it. It doesn't take that long. I was one of the top 50 lifetime, or am on the top 50 lifetime profit share earners in Keller Williams. Well, it took me about 90 days to have my revenue share checks bigger than my profit share checks, right? So the numbers are so different. So point being, it doesn't take that long to drive an income that's a difference maker. And even $2,000 a month, if you have that coming in every month, if you can cover some of your basic expenses, that's a big stress reliever for agents.
Yeah, one thing I like to convey too, I'm a finance geek at heart. And so I think about some of our background, looking at diversification, my investment portfolio and everything. And the nice thing is too, is that you can build these ancillary revenue streams with the rev share and everything, but also you're no longer going to be dependent on the ups and downs of your local market. It's so nice to get diversification. Maybe your market's down, but you might have a rev share team in Phoenix or Florida or, wherever, and even internationally, so you have all these different markets, going up and down, but overall,
yeah, that's
good to growing constantly.
Yeah. I'm a strategy geek, right? So I love looking at strategy. I know SRC, but I love numbers. I love what numbers tell us. I think they tell us how to run the business. I think they tell us what to be looking, ahead to be doing. So I study the numbers and reports and all that kind of stuff quite a bit. And I love looking at the strategy. And when I talk to agents who say, man, I wish I was in that market, right? Like our market, I'm outside of Philly. Philly's been, they're pretty close in the middle, right? We haven't had high highs. We haven't had low lows. So we haven't captured, there's a plus side to it, but there's also, you watch other markets that really take off. And there's agents that are here and they say, well, man, I wish I was in, this part of California or Florida or whatever, where the values have been going up and the market's super hot. I'm like, well, go bring in some agents in those markets. Take advantage of it. You don't have to move and start selling houses there. You don't even have to start a team there. Just go find some good agents in those markets and bring them into the company and watch them take off. And so that's where, when you talk about diversification, and, I always say, be more like a laser and less like the sun. Be really focused in what you do. Look at, have a strategy to what you're doing. If you're going to go put energy into it, don't be like me trying to swim butterfly. Right. If I go in there, my wife's a swimmer. She's like, she goes in the water and it's all graceful and everything else. If I try to swim butterfly, the lifeguards jump in and save me because I think I'm drowning. Right. It's just flailing and tons of energy expended and nothing coming out of it. And so some people approach business like that. They just try everything and they work really hard. At the end of the day, they're exhausted and they got 10% of the results that they could have gotten with some focus to it and some strategy to it. So if you're going to put effort and energy into revenue share, if that's something that you choose to put into your business portfolio, which I recommend that you do, right, then, have some strategy to it. Think about what you're doing. Think about how to maximize the return on investment of your time and energy into getting the best return. So, it might be that your best return is going to be because you have a ton of relationships locally, and no matter what the other markets are doing, if you're going to get 5 locally for every 1 you might get somewhere else, even though the other market might be hotter or have a higher average sales price, you're still going to get more working locally. If you don't have a ton of relationships locally, and you don't have that kind of influence in your local market, and you're going to go outside of your local market, then pick the markets you're going to go into, right?
Yeah.
Don't just do local because it's local, and don't just do another market because you're going to try another market. Be strategic about where you go.
Yeah, and regardless, even if you're locally confined, chances are that people you bring on will know people elsewhere. You know, like I found Connor Steinbrook in my backyard, and you know, he met Mike Sherrard up in Canada and everything.
Yeah.
And now that's turned into, you know, international all around the globe too. So it's not just who you know, but who they know and so forth. And it's crazy the places you can end up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And real quick, I saw some conversation. I haven't had a chance to read through everything real quick, but I saw some conversation on the stock, and I saw some good advice in there. I try to be really careful talking about stock as an executive of the company. So I can't, you know, I don't want to say too much, but what I will say is, you know, obviously you can see the market overall and where the market is overall. So, you know, we're subject to the downward pressures on the market and the fear that's out there. There's and it's real estate, right? And so there's a certain amount of trending in real estate because you know, there's certain times of the market when people buy and sell, right? The large investors, and they come in, and, you know, when companies report great earnings, the values go up, right? So they typically will come in right before the market starts to have a ton of closing. So our closing, you know, we talk about spring market, but it's really a summer market when it comes to closing. So it's, you know, more third quarter, right? When you're starting to see some great, you know, reporting and all that kind of stuff, a little bit second quarter, depending on when things are reported. So people, you know, when are you going to buy that stuff? If you're going to go buy a chunk of it, if you're going to buy and sell, right? You're not buying and holding. So there's a, you know, and then when you sell it at the end of the market, you're selling it off, right? And you have an outflux. So there's, in real estate, you have some of that pressure on the, you know, on the value of the stocks, which is part of the reason why we've got it tied with EXPI. So we can continue to build out our tech stack and all of the other components that are tied to our company, and provide services, but are technology related, that decrease some of the volatility and have the opportunity to increase the value. So the great thing is when you get EXPI stock, you're getting Showcase IDX, you're getting Success Lending, you're getting Verbella, you're getting all of the other platforms as part of that. And that, you know, there's all kinds of other, you know, other things out there that, you know, that happen on the pressure to it. What's great is, as a publicly traded company, you can go through and see the numbers. You can see how we're doing from a growth standpoint. You can see how we're doing from a profitability standpoint. And then when we are adding in like Success Lending and then some of the other components that we're adding in, as Verbella is starting to take off, all of the revenue and profitability driven by those, you know, we launched a bunch, right? And so you spend a lot of money and you invest a lot of time into those things. And then we're at the build up phase to see the ROI. Yeah. So, you know, people are maybe a little bit of a wait and see, but the company's in a very strong position, and we have a lot of great things going on. So with the growth that we're seeing, we anticipate, right? And I'm not making any claims or anything else like that, but we anticipate that, you know, that the market will continue to see the rocket ship that we've built. So, you know, we know what we have, but they're not in it every day, seeing the energy, enthusiasm that's here. But certainly the numbers that we're reporting on a quarterly basis, I mean, we keep saying this is the best quarter we've ever had. You know, I mean, how many quarters in a row do you have to say it's the best quarter you've ever had? And, you know, 13 years of the company, it just keeps, you know, and so we're not adding bodies. And that's one of the things that, you know, a bunch of us in leadership are adamant about, is that we are not a body factory. I don't care about the agent count if it's not driving production and profitability. You know, the number of licenses that we have is meaningless if it's just licenses. And so what I love is the fact that our production, our unit count, and our volume are increasing at a faster rate and a higher percentage than our agent count is increasing. So that's really important.
Well, Dave, we're getting pretty close to the end of the hour. Got about 13 minutes left. So I'd like to open it up for questions. I know Mike Sherrard has reached out. He has a question. So let's start off with Mike.
Where is he?
Oh, man. Let's get it going.
There he is. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Dave? How you doing, man?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So I have more of a question, not related to me, but I think it's just something that it will help everybody on the call. So one of the things that we deal with, and I think everybody that has RevShare understands this, is that there's going to be a period in time within the next 5-10 years where the people that didn't build RevShare look back and say, holy fuck, I just missed the biggest opportunity of my life to build financial freedom. I wish I would have done it back in 2022. It's kind of like, without saying too much, it's like if Bitcoin was at $500 and you basically knew for a fact it was going to 50,000, how much would you invest today? There's a lot of people that come into EXP. I'm sure many people in this call that are still focused primarily on production. What is your advice to those people of how to not take away from their production, but to still intertwine the growth of the residual side so that they can build both simultaneously? And then, as we know, it's kind of like a teeter-totter. Once the RevShare gets to the point where you can dial back production, that's where a transition happens. But we spend a lot of time talking to our group about, how can you do both? It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's not a binary option. It's a continuum on the scale. What is your advice to those people that are, maybe missing the boat on getting this started?
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I always tell people, we're not trying to get everybody out of the real estate sales business, because if everyone in the company stops selling houses, we go under, right? So, we're not trying to convince everyone to stop selling and focus on recruiting, because that's not, we're a real estate company. And so it needs to be both. It needs to be both. What we want to do, we're not trying to get everyone to retire from real estate today. We're trying to get them to have the opportunity to retire from real estate when they want to. And so that's important. I would say that similar to, I've coached a lot of agents over the years, and I've had, listing agents that were killer listing agents who hated working with buyers. And, they did tons of listings. They didn't want to have a team. They just wanted to sell houses. I don't want to manage people. I just want to sell houses. I don't want to work with buyers, right? They're just like all D. And we looked at their business and looked at how much money they were leaving on the table by not capturing, how much money you have, the holy grail. You have the listings, you're leading the market in listings, and then you're letting money fall on the floor. And so building something up around their business to capture that buyer's business. Now, there's lots of different ways they could work with that buyer's business, whether they work with it themselves, whether they have a team, or whether they just find some referral partners to refer it to, but have structure and strategy in place to capture the buyer opportunity from your listings. And so it's the same thing, is in existence here. If you are selling real estate, then you are out there, you're building relationships with realtors from other companies. And so it's finding a way to use those relationships to, have them be open to hearing about EXP in some way, shape, or form. There are lots of ways to do that, just like there are lots of ways to manage that buyer business to capture the income from that. And so you can be very purposeful and have those discussions. You could be a little bit softer and just put out there on social media your successes and how your business is growing, and attribute some of that to, the support and opportunities at EXP. You could talk about the great stuff happening at EXP, the relationships, the whatever, all of the things that make it great for you. And that's going to trigger something for someone else who says, wow, I need to hear more about that. And they'll reach out to you. So you don't have to be a recruiter. You don't have to cold call. You don't have to, you don't have to do a huge YouTube channel on it or anything else like that, right? You don't have to spend a lot of time doing that. But if you're selling real estate and you're not focused on those relationships with other agents and utilizing that opportunity, guess what? A few agents are moving to EXP, like 4,000 or 5,000 a month, right? So I bet you're seeing agents in your market that move to EXP. Someone did something that got them interested. People are looking for the best opportunity, always looking for the right and best opportunity. And there may be in a season in their life and their career where they're not looking right now. Something you say, or present or share may trigger something where they go, wow, I hadn't even been looking for something, but that's pretty cool. Or when the time comes that they are looking for something, it's just opportunity. But if you're not always sharing it, if you're not always putting it out there, then you won't find that opportunity won't be yours. When they're ready and when they're interested and they're open, what do they say? When the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? and so, you have to be out there. You have to be sharing, and you don't know, so you don't have to be pushy. You don't have to, you don't have to go all out on things, but if you're not taking any advantage of it, then you're really missing out and you're building a platform. And I use, my sponsor is Gene Frederick, right? And his sponsor is Elizabeth Riley. When she came over, she had no interest in revenue share. She had no interest in recruiting, right? That was not her focus, but she was really enthusiastic about the company. And she said, "Hey, I'm making a change. I'm going to this company. I found this. I think it's the coolest thing in the world. I got to tell you about this." And it had nothing to do with getting revenue share. No one was really getting any revenue share at that point, right? I mean, there was no fancy checks to show anybody. It was more of a concept than anything else. But it was her enthusiasm for, what the company could do for her and how she thought it was a really amazing model. And I really want to share this with you. Well, Gene went on to bring on, probably 30,000 people in his group. They're not all in his 8 levels, but like 30,000 people are here at EXP because of Gene. And so Elizabeth gets a pretty substantial check as a result. Really, really big. And she gets a substantial check as a result of having brought Gene in, right? And so she's not out there now. She has, she's got over 40 in her front line and that kind of stuff. But over time, when she realized how many people were in all these other levels and she wasn't getting paid on that, she's like, I'm going to go talk to a few more people about that, and got a little bit more purposeful about it. But it was a great ROI for her. But that conversation with one person was life-changing for her. And she did not, she's a high selling, she's a 7-time icon with EXP. She's a top selling agent. She's well known and respected in her marketplace and all over the country, to be honest, with everything that she's done through the different channels. So she's focused on selling houses. But, honestly, the more you succeed at selling houses, the more influence you have with agents all over the place in your local market and other markets. And if you really love that, if it's like, man, I love the production, I love selling houses, I love being entrenched in the industry and just being a part of the salespeople that are here, right, that are leading that portion of it. Well, you have opportunities to get on stage. You have opportunities to be be on Inman, or write articles, or do whatever it is, create videos that share with others and talk about selling houses. But all of those things build your influence in the industry. And then if you build influence and you don't do anything with the influence, then again, you're leaving opportunity on the table. There are lots of different ways to utilize the influence. So, we love the fact that our agents want to focus on production, selling houses, right? I mean, that's what we're about. We're a real estate company. So sell houses, but, use the entire opportunity. Don't put blinders on and say, I'm just going to take this. If you have a full buffet of all this great stuff out in front of you, and if you just go up and eat the muffins or whatever, right, the bagels, it's like, man, you got all this other stuff, and you're like, yeah, I'm not, it's all right there for you, and it's all there for you to access. And so definitely take advantage of all of it.
Okay, thanks, Dave. And we have a question from Monroe. He's raised his hand. So Monroe,
Yes.
You want to come on?
There he is. Hey, Monroe.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much, Dave. It's been amazing today. I just had a brief comment and then a question to follow up with that. I just want to make a comment relative to the power of that revenue share model that you're talking about. And I haven't yet, built that for myself. But when I owned my own brokerage, we built a 7-figure vacation rental management team, company as part of that. And over the past 10 years, it was one of those things where I had between $20,000 and $60,000 a month coming in from that management company, which normalized my income at a good level. But it was a tremendous amount of work to operate a management company at that level, right? So I just wanted to speak to that it's such an amazing experience as an agent or broker to have consistent income coming in every month where you don't have to worry about. And that's kind of what we had. I think the revenue share model is so powerful because you can kind of build that on the front end and then have that without all the day-to-day headaches that we had in the management side. So I just really love that concept of normalizing some income so that you can have longevity in the business. My question to kind of follow up with what you're talking about with the focus, and it kind of falls on with Mike's, is if you were a new agent coming into EXP today and knowing what you know now, and if you're coming in to build with your primary focus is building a revenue share organization, seeing that opportunity, maybe being a little burned out on production, maybe wanting to just focus on helping people. how would you focus and energize your time, and how would you kind of make sure you're limiting those distractions and implementing that laser focus you're talking about?
Yeah. So my approach to agent attraction is that, I like to know, I treat it like fishing, right? I like to know what I'm fishing for, who I'm fishing for, right? Who am I going after? And that to me is, who do I want to help and who can I help? Because if, the goal is about helping people, changing lives and creating the most impact. And what happens over time is it's a lot of outgoing, just like any business, a lot of outgoing. Hey, I can help you. Hey, I can help you. Pretty soon people see how many people you're helping and they're coming to you saying, can you help me? Can you help me? Right. So you have to decide, who can you impact the most? Who can you help? What do you bring to the table? What's that group that you can make the most impact in, that you will surround you, that you will naturally attract because of who you are, right? If you're authentic and doing what you're doing and what you're great at, you're going to impact a certain group. So I like to know who I'm fishing for first. And then I got to figure out, where do those fish swim, right? Where do I go find them? Where am I going to go to communicate with them? And then what do they eat? You got to know what bait to use as far as, with that group of people. You need to know, for that level of production and for what they're doing and their mindset and everything else, what are their hopes and fears, right? What are their aspirations? Where are they in their business and their life right now? And what's going to be attractive to them? What are they worried about? And all of those things, so that I can speak their language and I can put something out there that's going to be motivating to them to want to be in business with me. And so then I'm going to go where they are, and I'm going to give them what they need, and communicate with them. And then I'm going to be as impactful as I can in helping them succeed. And then we're going to make sure that we're promoting, what's happening, so that we, as quickly as we can, get to, can you help me, instead of I can help you. Right. So I want to get there so that it's coming back to you, and you create that audience. And there's a lot of folks here in this group that have created that audience now, that people are seeking them out on a national level, and even an international level to get what they need. I mean, when I came here, I set this up, and again, I've been recruiting agents for over 20 years. And so, I set it up and I called my group FIRE, FYR, stands for Fund Your Reason. Right. And so that's our group. I got the domain names and got all the other stuff and everything else. And so we had Fund Your Reason. And it was all about, helping people understand what's important to them, their reason. You call it your why, call it whatever you want, but we called it your reason. And then finding the way to fund that reason. Because when people if you just do it to make money or just do it to build your business, when it's tough and not fun, you stop. But if you've got a larger reason, that's that passion behind you of why you're doing it, then they're going to go after it. And so I was looking for like-minded people that had something important in their life that they wanted to do, and help people discover what that is. I've always said that people, I find that talking to people over and over and over again. I think you guys probably heard me throw out the stats, but I did a lot of growth of our businesses through cold calls. I just called agents that I didn't know. So I made over 80,000 cold calls, and I met with over 8,000 agents one-on-one for the purpose of talking about their business to bring them into the company. So 8,000, 45 to 90-minute conversations with agents over the years. And what I found in digging into who they were and their life and their business is that most people at some point have taken they start off paddling furiously towards wherever they're going. And most people at some point have put their oars in the boat, and they're just like the stream's carrying them down. They're going wherever it's going. And they've kind of lost their fire. They've lost their focus. They're taking what they take. They're getting what they get. And so the coolest thing in my mind, that we get to do is to reignite that passion, to remind people why they started and who they want to be, where they want to be, where they want to go, what's possible. And when you see that pilot light, light back up again, it's pretty cool. I mean, you can see it, you can hear, it's like when you like that, you're going to, you get the little pilot light kick back on, you can see it in their face. And all of a sudden, whether they join me or not, my hope is that they walk out of the conversation with that passion reignited. They may be able to get where they want to go without me and where they are, but maybe not. And so if I can get that going, they can see that I'm the person that can help them get where they want to go, and I can link them to the opportunity that will help them get there. They put their oars back in the water and they start paddling hard again. And that's really fun. And so that for me is where it's hope. I think someone was talking about someone being a hope peddler, right? And we talk about, selling hope, but it's really, that is the most powerful thing. When you can reignite that passion and that hope that, hey, I could go do this and I can do it with your help and your support and on this platform, then they're going to want to be here. And that's really all you have to do in a conversation with someone to attract them to the company is you got to find out where it is that they've been intending to go. How are they doing on trying to get there? And then we can we help you get there faster? And sometimes it's just a matter of reminding them. And they're like, oh my gosh, I need to be around you because you remind me about what I'm trying to do.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. My pleasure. That's a thing I'm most passionate about. So.
Okay, great. So just time check. We are 10:05. Dave, are you at a hard stop or do you have any time for another question or two?
I can take one more question.
I have
Okay,
something I'd like to say, Chris.
Okay, hey, Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I just wanted to thank you for your time about a month or so ago to talk to that prospect of mine that you and Chris and I talked to.
Yeah.
Gene Frederick is coming down to meet him in about a week from today.
Awesome.
So thank you for getting that ball rolling. I really appreciate that. And so for everybody out there, this is why this is such a wonderful team to be a part of, because the people who, like Dave, who can really help us, do help us. And I'm really grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah, no, my pleasure. My pleasure. I was happy to help. Glad to hear it's still moving.
It is.
Good.
That will be a huge win for us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay. Well, hey, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Dave, for joining us today. I know I've learned a lot. You're always a huge inspiration. So appreciate your valuable time and hope everybody has a great weekend. And we'll see you same time next week for Freedom Friday. So
awesome. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Good to hang out with you. Have a great weekend.
Good
Thank
seeing
you.
you, Dave.
Thanks, you too.